Now we'll come to the very important self-adjusting property. And this is the property where most of the students and most of the teachers get stuck when it comes to inverse trigonometric function. In inverse trigonometric function, many students complain, why do we have so many formulas? Why is there so many restrictions? And how do we work out the conditions that which formula is to be applicable in what conditions? So all of that can be attributed to this one property, and which is self-adjusting property of inverse trigonometric function. Now this self-adjusting property is sine inverse of sine x. Now sine inverse of sine x, it is equal to x if x lies in principal value range of sine inverse, because we know that sine inverse can only take the values in first quadrant and fourth quadrant. So this is true only if x lies in this interval from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So if we have sine inverse of sine pi by 3, we can cancel sine inverse with sine. We can simply write this as pi by 3. But if we have sine inverse of sine 2 pi by 3, now we cannot cancel sine inverse with sine, because if we get this result 2 pi by 3, this 2 pi by 3, it doesn't lie in the principal value range of sine inverse. So this result, it is not possible. So all the different definitions, all the restrictions, they stem from this result, which is sine inverse of sine x, and it is equal to x if and only if x lies in the principal value range. If x doesn't lie in the principal value range, then what is to be done? In that case, we have to transform this sine x so that the value remains the same, but the angle, it comes within this principal value range. So if we have this sine inverse of sine 2 pi by 3, we know that sine inverse of sine 2 pi by 3 can be expressed as pi minus pi by 3. Sine pi minus theta is sine theta. So we can write this as sine inverse of sine pi by 3. And sine pi by 3 is simply pi by 3, because now this pi by 3 lies in the principal value range of sine inverse. So the value of sine inverse sine 2 pi by 3, it is not 2 pi by 3 but pi by 3, and it will be true for all other functions also. So if we have cos inverse of cos x, so it will be x only when x lies between 0 to pi. In the same way, tan inverse of tan x, it will be x when x lies between minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2. Fourth one is cot inverse of cot x, it will be x if x lies between 0 and pi. Fifth one is secant inverse of secant x, it will be x when x lies between 0 to pi except pi by 2. And finally, cosec inverse of cosec x, will be x when x belongs to minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2 except 0. Now here one thing is very clear. If the x lies in the principal value range, then the problem is very simple. It is just x. But most of the time when we'll be dealing with this property, this x, it may not always be within this principal value range. So there'll be cases where this value x, it lies outside principal value range, and we need to figure out what needs to be done to solve such cases. And if we can understand that, then inverse trigonometric function will become a piece of cake. So we'll start with sine inverse of sine x. Now we know that sine inverse of sine x, it will be x when x lies between minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2. Now what if x lies between pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2? So if we have this x which lies between pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2, we have to change this sine x so that its value remains the same, but angle, it comes within this range. So what we'll do is we'll multiply with minus sign. So we'll write minus pi by 2 is greater than minus x is greater than equal to minus 3 pi by 2. Now we'll add pi. So we'll write pi by 2 is greater than pi minus x. It is greater than pi minus 3 pi by 2 is minus pi by 2. So this angle pi minus x, it lies between minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2, and we know that sine pi minus x is same as sine x. So if we replace x with pi minus x, then this angle, it lies in this principal value range, and also its value will remain the same. So it will still be sine x. So for pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, we'll get this result as pi minus x. Now what if we take the angle between minus 3 pi by 2 and minus pi by 2. Now what we can do is we can multiply with minus sign. So we can write pi by 2 is less than equal to minus x is less than 3 pi by 2, and then we'll add minus pi. Then we can write minus pi by 2 is less than equal to minus pi minus x is less than plus pi by 2. Now we'll take sine minus pi minus x. We know that this is minus sine pi plus x, and sine pi plus x is nothing but minus sine x. So again, it'll be nothing but it'll be sine x. Now in this case, again the angle lies between minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2, and value is still the same. So here we'll take this as minus pi minus x. So this is how we use self-adjusting property in inverse functions when x doesn't lie in the principal value range. But this method, it is very lengthy and it is also prone to so many errors. So the best way to do this is by learning the graph of sine inverse of sine x. So if you'll just learn the graph of sine inverse of sine x, then everything will become very simple and it'll all make sense. So we'll start with the graph of sine inverse of sine x. So we'll draw the graph of y equals sine inverse of sine x. So we'll draw the two axes. First, what we'll do is we'll mark principal value range on both the axes. So principal value range of sine inverse is minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So we'll write minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2. And here also we'll mark pi by 2 and minus pi by 2. Now we know that in principal value range, it is nothing but y equals x, and which is a straight line. So all we need to do is we need to draw this line y equals x in this interval. So it'll be simply x. Now between pi by 2 and 3 pi by 2, so this is pi by 2, this is pi, and this is 3 pi by 2, it is pi minus x. So when x is pi by 2, it is pi by 2. When x is pi, it is 0. And when x is 3 pi by 2, it is minus pi by 2. So we'll join this. We'll get this result. And when x is in this third interval, which is from minus 3 pi by 2 to minus pi by 2, it'll be minus pi minus x. So when x is minus pi by 2, it'll be minus pi by 2. At minus pi, it'll be 0. And at minus 3 pi by 2, it'll be simply pi by 2. So we can join this way. Now we can continue this pattern. So this is how we are going to draw the graph of sine inverse of sine x. Now we should be able to write definitions also. Now this line is nothing but, this is y is equal to x line. So this is x. So any line which is inclined this way, its slope will be plus 1. So we'll write plus x. And any line which is inclined at an angle 135 degrees, its slope will be minus 1. So we'll write minus x. And if the line passing through x equals to a intersects above x-axis, then its intercept will be plus a. And if the line Passing through x equal to a, it intersects y-axis below origin, then intercept will be minus a. Now in this case, angle is 135 degrees, so it is minus x. And here it is going to intersect y-axis above origin. So it'll be minus x plus pi, because this value is pi. What about this one? So this again is 135 degrees, so it is minus x. And here it will intersect below the origin. So here it will be simply minus x minus pi. Now what about this definition? Now this is 2 pi. Now this is 45 degrees. So it will be simply x. And then it is 2 pi, but it will intersect below x-axis. So it will be x minus 2 pi. So using this graph, we can write definitions in different range. Now, we don't have to draw this elaborate graph. All we'll do is we'll just draw a rough sketch to work out the definitions only for the portion that we'll need. So I'll tell you what we are going to do while solving problems. So all you need to do is simply take the axis, mark principal value range minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2. And then in this range, simply it'll be x. So this is x. Now just keep drawing these zigzag lines. Now this is pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and this is minus pi, minus 2 pi. Now suppose we have to write some definition. Suppose I want to write definition of this part. Now this is what? 135 degrees. So it'll be minus x, and then it'll intersect y-axis above origin. So it'll be minus x plus 3 pi. What about this one? Now this is 45 degrees, so it'll be x, and then again it'll intersect above x-axis, so it'll be x plus 2 pi. So just by drawing a basic graph, we should be able to write definition for each and every part that we'll need. There is the only thing which I want you to learn, so that it'll be easy and convenient for us to work out different definitions and different conditions. So that is the graph of y equals sine inverse of sine x. Now the graph of y equals cosec inverse of cosec x. It's almost the same as that of sine inverse of sine x, except it won't have values like 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. But then basic shape and definitions for cosec inverse of cosec x, they'll be the same. So what we'll do is we'll use the graph of sine inverse of sine x to work out definitions and values for cosec inverse of cosec x also. Now the second one is graph of y equals cos inverse of cos x. So again we'll use the same method. Principal value range for cos inverse is 0 to pi. So we'll mark 0 and pi on both the axes. Now in this interval, it'll be simply y equals x line, and then we'll continue to draw these zigzag lines. So this is 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, minus pi, and minus 2 pi. Now if we have to write this definition, now this angle is 135, so it'll be minus x, and then above origin, so it'll be minus x plus 2 pi. This definition, it'll be x, and then it'll intersect below origin, so it'll be x minus 2 pi. Now this is minus x, it'll be x plus 2 pi. So this is how we can write definition for any general angle which may not lie in the principal value range. And we are going to use the same graph for secant inverse of secant x. Now for secant inverse of secant x, values like pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, they're missing. And other than that, everything else remains the same. So definition, they'll remain the same. Shape of the graph will remain the same. So we'll use the graph of cos inverse of cos x to work out values for secant inverse of secant x also. Now we'll come to the graph of y equals tan inverse of tan x. Now the graph of tan inverse of tan x, it is little different from that of sine inverse of sine x and cos inverse of cos x. And the reason being, if we'll differentiate this function, we'll get 1 upon 1 plus tan square x and secant square x. So that means its slope is always positive and it is plus 1. So it is an increasing function. So we cannot have a negative slope in this case. So what we'll do in this is, we'll just take the axis. Now principal value range for tan inverse is minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, so it will be minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, and here also we'll draw minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2. Now between minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2, which is its principal value range, it will be simply x. So we'll write this as x, and since pi by 2 and minus pi by 2 they are not included, we'll write this open circle. Now for tan inverse and as well as for cot inverse, we won't take zigzag lines, we'll take parallel lines. So all we need to do is we'll just need to draw parallel lines. So that is the graph of tan inverse of tan x. Now this is a 0, this is pi, this is 2 pi, and this is minus pi. Now we can write this definition also. For all of them, angle is 45, so all of them they'll be x, and then this is x minus pi, it is x minus 2 pi. This one will be x and it'll intersect above x-axis, it'll be x plus pi. So this is how we can write definitions for tan inverse of tan x. And finally, we write y equals cot inverse of cot x. Now for cot inverse of cot x, cot inverse has principal value range at 0 to pi. So between 0 and pi, it'll take this value x, and then we'll just keep drawing these parallel lines. Now this one, it'll be x minus pi, x minus 2 pi, it'll be x plus pi, x plus 2 pi, and this is how we are going to draw the graph of sin inverse of sin x, cos inverse of cos x, tan inverse of tan x, and cot inverse of cot x while solving the problems.